Hello everybody, and welcome back to the Super Mario Odyssey playthrough. So, we've been to Shiveria in the Snow Kingdom. Obviously we had that quick stop back at the delightful Cascade Kingdom. But now we are heading to the Seaside Kingdom, Bubblaine. And it is quite delightful, I have to say. Because look, it's an entire seaside, and there's just all sorts going on here. It's just look at that water. And, I mean, he's not quite that good looking. I mean, he's an octopus with a moustache and balding, but still. It's just like a sort of a masterclass in lighting, I feel. It'll certainly be the case once we have beaten the boss, who's sitting up there waiting for us. He's called Mollusque-Lanceur, because obviously they needed the French thing. And I think that, well, pretty much the entirety of Bubblaine has a sort of French theme, because its local inhabitants, as you can see, are beret-clad snails. Two of the missions have French titles, and also the boss's name is Mollusque-Lanceur, so Lancer Mollusk. So it's very heavily based on France, but it's most likely the Côte d'Azur, or the French Riviera, which is the coastline of southeast corner of France, which includes the state of Monaco. And it's just quite gorgeous. And the other bit of saying that there's a whole French thing going on is that we're popping corks at Mollusque-Lanceur, so it certainly makes sense, does it not? So the whole gist of this area is there are 4 geyser type things that have been stopped by champagne corks. Which are the things that normally fill up the sparkling water in the goblet, but they have all been blocked by Bowser, so we've got to go sort that out, you know? You also get to have a lot of fun with these guys called Gushins, which are adorable enemies that are kind of hilarious, because they effectively work quite a bit like Flood from Super Mario Sunshine. It's much more the hover nozzle than anything else, but you get to jet forward, jet up, or jet in a sort of diagonal line. And if you want to get all of the moons in this area, then you are going to have to get used to using the Gushin. It only ever has a certain amount of water in it, and I totally just well, cheated my way to that moon, because the way you're meant to go is up this kind of winding slope, but I was just like, now I'm just going to gush my way up there, make it up dead easy. Really what I should have done, to make my life a hell of a lot easier, is get that checkpoint and then gushing my way up to another moon, which is just up there, because I'm not actually going to be able to get up there otherwise. So yeah, that was probably not the smartest move that I ever made, but it's fine, because we're just going to get to have fun in the Seaside Kingdom, because it just, like, yeah, I do like to be beside the seaside. Yes, I do like to be beside the sea. Oh, I do like to walk along the prom, where the grass is green, bum. Oh, I do like to be beside the seaside. Oh, I do like to be beside the sea. Something, by the seaside, by the sea. Yeah, I'm pretty... So, this is something that's quite hilarious. that some people, probably most people who watch my channel will already probably know is that I'm part of Hellfire Commentaries, and I started this playthrough before we started doing Super Mario Odyssey on Hellfire Commentaries, and basically the other day, and by the other day I literally do mean yesterday, I was doing more Hellfire Comms commentary on Super Mario Odyssey, and we played through Bubblaine. So it's sort of one of those things of, you're just like, wait, did I say that in the Hellfire Comms one? Did I say that in my run through? It's going to get even weirder, because it's very likely, due to how my upload schedule works and how the Hellfire Comms upload schedule works, that playthrough will be finished before this one, despite this starting sooner. Which is kind of a bit ridiculous when you think about it, but it's totally fine by me, because, you know, obviously we're actually getting more things in this run. I'm getting all of the purple coins, and we're getting more moons as we go. So rather than just sitting in and just going, let's just get the minimum number of moons, I'm getting everything that I possibly can think of. So it means that post-game, it's a lot shorter of a time to deal with. Because otherwise we would be here for quite a while trying to collect everything in order to get the final stuff. And, really what I feel I should have done is just pick up those purple coins. Yeah, really I should have just picked up those purple coins down there and then just had like 3 extra purple coins when I bought these things. But then really, I don't see much of a problem with it, because we're still able to get most of it, so that makes me happy. But yes, look at that delightful resort where that we're just getting completely wet. I mean, I suppose that the sandals might help a little bit, but not much. I mean, really, we should have been wearing the swimming cozy from the Lake Kingdom, but clearly they wanted to give us a resort havoc. I mean, we are on the French Riviera, so I suppose it does make sense. But still. Anyway, obviously one of the things that you will have noticed with the Seaside Kingdom is that the regional coins are seashells. Another great little touch. And then the whole thing with the name. So pretty much all of the kingdom names, they're very slightly, so the Japanese one is Umi no Kuni, which is sea land, which is basically the same as Waterland, which turns up in Super Mario Bros. 3, so perhaps they are connected. The Spanish is Reino Ribereño, which is Shoreside Kingdom. The French is Pays de la Mer, which is sea country. The Dutch is Strandrijk, which is beach realm. The German is Kustenland, which is coastal country. And then they sort of vary between beach, sea, and so on and so forth. But the Bubblaine bit is the bit that is quite interesting, because the Japanese is Shuwashuwana, which comes from Shua, which is the fizziness of carbonated drinks. Because one of the things that you'll notice when playing through Bubblaine is that whenever you touch the water, you can hear a slight fizz, but also you can feel it in the Joy-Con, and it's because this is effectively sort of like a carbonated sea, and it's just a really nifty little touch. But it's awesome that you can actually feel it in the game, and it makes it more than just a regular ocean that you're swimming through. It's like, it's actually fizzy. Brilliant. The Japanese, or you said the Japanese version of the name, the Spanish one is Playa Plupier, which comes from playa, which is beach, which, that's brilliant. Pulpo, which is octopus, because obviously you've got the Gushans, you've got Mollusque-Lanceur up the top there, and then also you've got Pierre, which is a French name, so effectively Mollusque-Lanceur, I'm assuming in Spanish, might be Pulpier, because that would make sense. The French name for this place is Pétillance, which comes from pétillant, which is sparkling. The Dutch and the German are pretty simple, because the Dutch is just Bubble Beach. So, Bubble Beach, obviously. And the German is Blubberstrand, which is also just Bubbling Beach. The Italian is quite nice, because it's Bollicina, which comes from bollicine, which is bubbles. The Russian is Puzirian, which you've got Puzir, which is bubble, and then the in bit is just a common ending of Russian town names. And then the Korean is Toktogida, which comes from tok tok, which is the fizziness of carbonated drinks. So it's the same as the Japanese shua shua, well, the shua shuana. So yeah, that's just quite fun. But yeah, we now have a pirate outfit. We're not going to wear it for a little bit. We will wear it, I do promise you that. But I felt like we've got a good thing going with wearing the purple coin outfit for the primary story beats of each of the kingdoms. So it just made sense, and so really you should use the Gushans to make this jump. But as you can see, I'm really stubborn, and I want to do this just by jumping. It's not going to happen. I most likely am just going to have to pick up a Gushan and do it that way. But obviously, you look at it, it is possible to do that without a Gushan. It's just very difficult. And also, since we are here, and we're wearing the resort outfit, let's go into the resort. So yes, we get a lovely hula. And just to make this a little bit less awkward, I am hulaing at the same time. You can probably just about hear my chair squeaking as I move. But yeah, it's quite a relaxing little dance. It's not quite as fun as the mariachi ditty with the Tostorinans, but it's still quite fun. And oh look, we've got a rocket ship on the beach. Let's take it and see where it goes. So yes, this area is quite fun. It's got very much the Super Mario 3D Land about it. Because I do seem to recall a lot of Super Mario 3D Land levels having this very blocky-esque look to them. It's quite fun because the whole thing is using the scissors and the death circle things to clear the fog. And it's also quite nice because you might have noticed that as you run, there's a sort of tiny little tinkle coming from the ground. Which it's minuscule, but it's great, and it's one of those things where that sort of tinkling sound effect actually changes depending on the song playing. So you could very much be running through the area, and if you've changed the song, which you can't do until right towards the end of the game actually, then you will be able to hear the harmony of the running changes, which I just think is just such a minuscule thing, and I think I had mentioned it before, but it's just something that I do find to be endlessly amazing that they went that far. Because, I mean, one of the things that I've always advocated for in video games is more adaptive music. So, music that changes depending on what's happening in the game, because it's always just quite amazing to witness happening. So, whether that be the movements you make causing sound effects that harmonise with the music and add to the melody or whatever, or if you get close to something, then that adds like an instrument to the song, or as you progress through the song, it changes in different ways. It's just one of those things that I just really, really love to witness in games, and while this is very much an instance of tiny, minuscule bits of adaptive music, it's still just a very nice touch that I really do appreciate. I mean, I have had a discussion on adaptive music before. I wrote an entire blooming blog post on it, like the other year. But if you look at things like Journey, that's got an adaptive soundtrack, because as you are moving about, the instruments change in terms of the song, but it still creates that cohesive unit of a song. And then you also have situations like Bayonetta 2, particularly the Gamora boss fight, where there's like 3 phases, and there's 3 phases to the music. And as you beat each phase, the music kicks up a gear in line with where you are. So it's more noticeable in that, because it's just once you have gotten rid of a certain amount of health, or it's something like 1 health bar of Gamora, you then pass through a bit of the level, which then triggers the music change, and then the same happens when you get to the last bit, so that as you're playing it all links up, so that you get the right piece of music at the right time in the game. And I mean, I'm trying to think of other examples where it's always been... I mean, Child of Eden's always a brilliant example as well, because, I mean, it's Child of Eden, and that whole game's entire gist is synesthesia and merging the music with the gameplay and the visuals. And yeah, that's just another brilliant example of making the most out of a more adaptive soundtrack. Now, I'm most likely going to miss a very, very, very easy wound, and I've already missed it. So we've got these terrifying eels turning up. Absolutely terrifying. I think it's because they look more realistic than they have done before. Because these are definitely the morays that have been about ever since Super Mario 64. They were slightly terrifying in Mario 64 because you didn't have the maneuverability to get away from them, and that was quite terrifying. And that moray in particular was called Unagi. And then they sort of disappeared in a way. You did have some kind of eel-like enemies in Galaxy and Sunshine, but they weren't the morays, and then they decided to bring them back for here, and yeah, they are utterly terrifying. Because they still just appear out of nowhere. Thankfully, you know, you do have a bit more control over your movements, but it is really a case of just going, oh, Luminac. And also, we are very close to putting the boot into Mollusque-Lanceur, and I definitely think that we're probably going to do that right about now, because we might as well. So yes, Mollusque-Lanceur. His full title is Brigadier Mollusque-Lanceur the Third Dauphin of Boblaine. And the Mollusque-Lanceur is basically just French for mollusk launcher. Maybe related to the Gushans, I mean, because, you know, they're both octopus related. And he's been in an interesting fight. His other names are Hodan in Japanese, which possibly comes from Hosui, which is the Japanese name for the Gushans, and Hodan, Cannonball, which could refer to the fact that he has a shell-spitting attack. His Spanish name is indeed Brigadier Pulpier III. The French name is Bombopode Duc de Petitlands, which is Bombopode Duke of Boblaine. Dutch is just Mollusque-Lanceur III. The German is Cunibert von Krak, which is Cunibert von Octo. The Italian is Capitan Polpidou, which is effectively Captain Octopus. The Russian is Mollusque-Lanceur, which is just the Mollusque-Lanceur again. The Korean is Potam Baekjak, which is the Potan, which is Cannonball, and Baekjak, which is Count. So it's Count Cannonball, which is effectively where they're going with the Japanese one. And the Chinese is Pao Dan Bourgeois, which is Earl of Artillery Shells. And yes, he's very posh. I mean, with the title like Brigadier and Dauphin, you would hope so. He's an interesting fight because you've got to use the Gushans to deal with him, because you have got to get on top of him and then gush down the water on top of him. In the grand scheme of things, it's not a difficult fight, but I mean, it's quite funny when, you know, you can just bop off of him on the Gushans, which is just adorable. But it's very easy to end up in a situation where he is moving away just as you're trying to do your upward Gushan spout, and it can make him what I would say is definitely the finickiest fight of the game. And it's mostly just because he has a lot of range in which he can move, and he is very likely to get out of the way exactly when you don't want him to be getting out of the way. That said, I do like that you've probably explored quite a lot of Boblaine at this point, or you might have explored very little of it. I don't know, it depends how you're playing the game. But the fact that he does range around does mean that you then get to kind of properly explore Boblaine in a bit of a rush mind, but in the middle of the fight you might actually come across some elements that you might not have realised were there before, like I just spotted those purple coins over there. No, it wasn't a purple coin, it was one of the seeds. So I will have to go back and pick that up, but obviously kind of need to put the hurt on this guy first. And take that, mate. And oh, isn't it beautiful? We get a double rainbow all the way across the sky. My. It's so intense, and there is our multi-moon. Success!